Is it a good idea to pair the RX 7800 XT with the Ultrawide 1440p monitor to play the latest AAA games? Let's find out. I paired the Gigabyte Gaming OC RX 7800 XT with the Ryzen 7 9800X3D CPU as part of the Be Quiet PC build powered by MSI. And we'll be experiencing the games today on this beautiful 175Hz OLED monitor. This is MSI 341CQP. If you're interested in any of the products featured in this video, you can find them on Amazon at the links in the description below. Let's start with the latest Indiana Jones game that just came out. This is actually an interesting game to test because it has hardware-based ray tracing that cannot be turned off. We are at native resolution, FOV is at 95, and the graphics quality is absolutely maxed out. In this indoor scene inside of the museum, the FPS is absolutely beautiful. 90 plus, sometimes reaching 100, yeah? Like over here. But mostly 90-ish. Sometimes dropping to 80 plus, high 80s. But this is a brilliant experience. Although it is worth noting that this is not the most demanding scene in the game. We'll take a look at that in just a moment. I just wanted to show you this one first because, yeah, the performance is absolutely brilliant. And even in this jungle sequence, we're still getting above 60 FPS. This is a very demanding scene, with a lot of vegetation inside of this jungle. And even the fact that this game has ray tracing enabled by default and cannot be turned off doesn't hurt that much, because yeah, we know that Radeon graphics cards are usually not known for their ray tracing prowess. Still, the 7800 XT is doing quite well in this game. By the way, there's also full ray tracing option available for NVIDIA graphics card in this game. However, AMD graphics cards do not support that, so it's not available for any AMD GPUs. In terms of behavior, we are currently using just above 12 GB of video memory, and the GPU fan is kind of loud on this card. Above 1900 RPM. I'm not impressed by the Gigabyte Gaming OC version of the 7800 XT. It's definitely not the card I would recommend, even though it has 3 fans and a big heatsink. It's still not doing great. I'm not happy with the noise levels that I'm getting. If I were playing using speakers, as I normally do, that noise would bother me definitely. This card also has a silent profile, which is slightly better, but it comes at a reduced clock speed for the GPU, which means that, you know, fewer frames per second, which isn't ideal. Overall, this game looks and plays beautifully on the RX 7800 XT paired with the ultra-wide monitor, especially the OLED one, yeah. This game looks amazing on OLED monitors. Unfortunately, there is no FSR resolution upscaling or frame generation available, only DLSS. That is a shame, and it means that the only way to improve performance is by lowering graphics quality. So let's go ahead and select high graphics quality preset and see what happens. We're not getting that many more frames per second by reducing the graphics quality, so it's about 70 plus right now in this demanding scene. I don't think it's worth it. It's better to keep the graphics on the highest quality preset, because we were getting 60 plus FPS anyway, and that was nice. I don't think it's worth, you know, making the image look worse for the sake of extra 10 FPS when we already had a perfectly smooth gaming experience. Next up is STALKER 2, which is a much more demanding game. Field of view is at 100 and we are using the highest graphics quality preset, Epic, with the exception of just one single thing, depth of field, I've set it to low, and I've turned off motion blur. We'll take a look at FSR upscaling as well as frame generation a little bit later. At the moment, it's set to native. And using this set of settings, the performance is far from being perfect. We're in the high 30s, low 40 FPS. Yeah, this game is not pleasant to play with this kind of FPS. I'm not enjoying it. We need at least 60. There are two ways to improve the performance. We could either use resolution upscaling or just lower the graphics quality. Let's start with resolution upscaling and set it to quality. We're close to 60 now, which is nice already. And this game is now playable, in my opinion, in terms of image smoothness. However, I'm not a big fan of FSR resolution upscaling because, for my liking, it introduces way too many visual imperfections. Compared to DLSS, this is horrible. Let's introduce FSR frame generation into the mix to improve image fluidity even further. Something just broke. All the HUD elements are now flickering. Yeah, this is not pleasant. Let's try and reload the game and see if that will resolve the issue. Nope. Game restart did not help. Something is terribly wrong with, using frame generation on the ultra-wide monitor. Yeah, it doesn't work. Let's turn it off. Alright, frame generation is off. FSR will return to native resolution. And yeah, because I don't like how FSR looks. The only other way to improve our performance is, of course, by lowering the graphics quality. Shall we set it to high and see if that will be enough? This is better, but we're far from 60 FPS. We're still in the 40s, 45 to 48 or so. This is not a great experience for a shooter game. Yeah. As I said, I want at least 60 FPS in this kind of game. It really sucks that FSR does not provide us with a good image quality, because I use DLSS resolution upscaling even at 1440p all the time. It boosts the performance and the image quality is very close to native, so it is well worth using upscalers as long as they are good quality upscalers. And unfortunately, FSR 3.1 is not it. Let's continue reducing the graphics quality further to see what it takes to achieve 60 FPS on the RX 7800 XT. I've selected medium preset. Let's see. Unfortunately, even medium graphics quality preset is not enough to deliver that 60 FPS experience. We are at 50-ish FPS. And this is not enough for this kind of game, and especially for the ultra-wide monitor, because there's so much peripheral vision available to us. I really need that smooth and fluid picture on the screen. This is just not doing it for me, and I don't think it's worth testing this game at low graphics quality preset, because what's the point of playing a game like this on the ultra-wide monitor with the RX 7800 XT? It's just not... Oh my god, bloodsucker! Hold on. Quick pause to take care of this beast. Look at him. His menacing eyes. It's like he's looking into our soul. I hate these guys. Okay, as I was saying, unfortunately Stalker 2 is not the kind of game you want to play on the ultra-wide monitor using the RX 7800 XT. Let's move on to the next game. This is Space Marine 2. We are at native resolution, no frame generation, no upscaling. The highest ultra graphics quality preset is selected. The fact that we're getting barely 60 FPS in this particular scene tells me that it will not be enough during combat, so we have to make adjustments right away to ensure that we are getting brilliant experience. We have to use resolution upscaling for this. Yeah, let's select FSR quality mode. It uplifts the FPS quite nicely. Take a look at that. We are now getting 100 FPS. So that's additional 40. But that's just in this particular scene. As soon as we deploy, the FPS is dropping below 90 from time to time. And during combat, let's see, 80 plus still. Oh, 76, 74. Right on. Still a good experience. 70 plus FPS is plenty enough to enjoy this game. FSR 3.1 actually looks okay in this game. However, we're still getting quite a few issues that are related to FSR, such as problems with translucent particles. Allow me to demonstrate. Take a look at that. So any translucent particles are just flickering, fading in and out of existence. Hold on a second, let me just try and demonstrate. You see the guns on those enemies, they're emitting particles and they're just flickering. I can see that right away from the distance, and it doesn't look nice. Once again, FSR is the weak link when it comes to using AMD graphics cards. Let's add frame generation into the mix to see if the image fluidity will surpass 120 FPS. And indeed, it does. 140 FPS right here, 130 plus over here. Let's enter combat and see what happens. Still staying above 120, well above 120 actually. 123 was the lowest number I've seen so far. The image fluidity is brilliant, but the image quality is not, so that is a shame. The only other way to approach playing this game without using FSR, so that it's not messing up our visual quality, is to use TAA. Native resolution, let's take a look. We're still at Ultra Graphics Quality preset. And we're getting less than 60 FPS already. We're not even in a fight. So that's not gonna be great when we start fighting. Yep, as soon as a group of enemies appears, our FPS drops below 50. That is not nice. By the way, TAA in this particular game also suffers from the same issue as FSR. Any translucent particles are just flickering. That is not nice. Let's have a look. Take a look at that. Flickering particles. It's time to reduce the graphics quality preset. We'll select high, 60 FPS during combat, but we do get dips to around 50-ish from time to time. This kind of performance is acceptable, but it's not perfect. I mean, ideally I want to see about 90 FPS in this game, and it would have been possible if we were using resolution upscaling. However, as I mentioned, it doesn't look as nice, so I would definitely use DLSS if I had an NVIDIA graphics card installed right now. But with FSR, it's just not the way to go. Although, I think we should still take a look at how that looks and performs. So let's select FSR and FSR quality mode. And right away, FPS goes much higher. We're now getting dips to around 66 instead of 50-ish, and that is much nicer, especially considering the number of enemies currently on the screen. That is quite impressive. In my opinion, the RX 7800 XT is not quite up to the task to be paired with the Ultrawide 1440p monitor, because some games, they play nicely, like we've seen with Indiana Jones, even though it has built-in ray tracing that cannot be turned off, hardware ray tracing as well, which we all know Radeon graphics cards are not particularly great at. Nvidia is better, but even so, Indiana Jones game was working perfectly fine. I can't say the same about Stalker 2 and Space Marine 2. Those games are some of the latest additions to the gaming market, and the 7800 XT just cannot handle them without the help of resolution upscaling. FSR unfortunately provides us with a horrible picture, in my opinion. If you think otherwise, then go ahead and buy this graphics card, but personally I prefer Nvidia's DLSS. That's why I would get the RTX 4070 instead of this card. Alternatively, you have to go for a much more powerful AMD graphics card to be able to play the games you want to play at native resolution without using FSR. That's what I think, but let me know in the comments what do you think about this setup. And if you're interested in any of the products featured in this video, you can find them on Amazon at the links in the description below. If you found this video helpful, then don't forget to reward my work with a like, that helps out a lot. And subscribe for more if you haven't already. It was I, Vadim. Until next time.